the moment, and we can see there the Foreign Secretary Yvette Cooper. Beside her there is His Majesty's Ambassador to the US, Sir Christian Turner, and his wife Lady Claire Turner. The fact that these individuals are arriving now suggests that the arrival of the King and Queen is not too far away either. They've all travelled there together. Of course, the King and Queen are staying just across the road, Stuart, in Blair House, the official guest house of the President.
That's right. It's just about 100 yards from where we're standing right here on the north lawn of the White House, and was designated as the presidential guest house when Winston Churchill visited.
And then, of course, behind the Ambassador, Sir Christian Turner, there is his wife, Lady Claire Turner, and some other senior members of the travelling party here and of the British Embassy, all lining up to greet. Of course, we can see he's just popped into view there, the Vice President, J.D. Vance, at the head of that receiving line, just standing beside Secretary of State Marco Rubio. Of course, most of those individuals were at the White House Correspondents' Dinner on Saturday night, and the terrible events that unfolded after that. This event, in marked contrast to that, this is a moment of celebration, Stuart, isn't it? Above politics, we're told this trip was arranged before the 2024 elections in the UK and the US, so long before anyone knew who the Prime Minister and the President would be.
That's right, and I might say yesterday at the British Embassy there was a glorious, beautiful reception, garden party, hosted by Ambassador Turner, and many of these same distinguished guests from the American cabinet were present as well on that occasion.
Now, in the royal party, who we've just seen shaking hands there, they're continuing to come through, some of the members who work here at the UK Embassy. We also saw a moment ago, there he is again, Sir Clive Alderton, the private secretary to the King, and he's the most influential person in the royal household, and he would have been, as would Susie Wiles have been, a key behind the scenes public figure in terms of putting together this visit, but also in terms of UK public life. He really is the man behind the throne, really, for want of a better expression. And the Queen's private secretary was there as well. We spotted just a moment ago Sophie Densham. So, of course, all of these individuals will be back here later tonight, Stuart, for that state dinner as well. But a very tight invitation list.
It is. About 120 guests are expected on the state floor, which is about as many as we can accommodate there. And this will be a lovely dinner that has been worked.
Secretary of State Marco Rubio, Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent, Defence Secretary Pete Hegseth, Commerce Secretary Howard Lutnick, President's Chief of Staff, Susie Wiles, having a laugh there with the members of the British contingent, who of course he knows very well, but the President shaking hands there with Susie Wiles and Sir Christian Turner, Lady Claire Turner. And Sir Clive Alderton, the private secretary to the King, there as well. Now they're moving towards the podium, where we are expecting some brief remarks from both men. By President Donald Trump, marking this ceremonial welcome of the King and Queen on their historic 4-day state visit here to the US. King Charles has been here, this is his 20th trip now, but his first as monarch, and many fond words for him personally and the British people from President Trump just now, saying the US has no closer friends than the British, and he was so honoured to have the King and Queen here. He spoke fondly of his trip to Windsor last September. He also spoke a lot there about his mother, who of course was born in Scotland. He said she came from the Hebrides, the real Scotland, he said. And he said it's real serious Scotland, where they have their greatest of warriors. And he spoke about her fascination with the Queen, and he said his mother had had a crush on the young Charles, which drew some giggles from the First Lady, the Queen, and the King himself. Now they are going back inside the White House, and they will make their way up to the balcony there. I'm still joined here by Stuart McLaren, who is president of the White House Historical Association. We just see them making their way up there to the balcony. What will happen next, Stuart?
So this is ascending the stairs to the balcony of the Blue Room, one of the most iconic rooms, an oval room in the center of the house on the state floor. They'll go through that opening after they have a public viewing here, all aligned, and in that room they will exchange the official gifts that have been selected, President and Mrs. Trump for their majesties and their majesties for the Trumps.
that has grown into one of the most consequential alliances in human history. I pray with all my heart that our alliance will continue to defend our shared values with our partners in Europe and the Commonwealth and across the world. And that we ignore the clarion calls to become ever more inward-looking. Mr. Speaker, Mr. Vice President, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, America's words carry weight and meaning, as they have since independence. The actions of this great nation matter even more. President Lincoln understood this so well with his reflection in the magisterial Gettysburg Address that the world may little note what we say, but will never forget what we do. And so to the United States of America, on your 250th birthday, let our two countries rededicate ourselves to each other in the selfless service of our peoples and of all the peoples of the world. God bless the United States, and God bless the United Kingdom.
So a raucous applause there for this address of King Charles to a joint meeting of the US Congress, becoming only the second British monarch to address this group, the first being his mother, Queen Elizabeth II. And he has just made history as well by becoming the first British king to address this joint setting. I'm told there were dozens and dozens of drafts of it crafted in advance of the delivery. Talk to us about how much work goes into those fine words that we're all parsing over now and trying to interpret.
Well, first of all, I think it was an outstanding speech. I counted, and my maths aren't great, but I counted 11 standing ovations during that 20-minute speech. And I think it was humorous, I think it was warm, I think it delivered the messages that he wanted to make. But yes, you're absolutely right. There are many, many drafts. And of course, this visit, as you know, is undertaken on behalf of the government. So the government wanted the king to go. So he's doing it on behalf of government. So normally the initial draft will be given by the Foreign Office with input from Downing Street to the royal household, and then the king will make his own suggestions. Now, the king has an outstanding private secretary in Sir Clive Alderton, who happens to be a former ambassador himself, so he knows his way around the diplomatic section. So Clive will be a real asset to His Majesty in helping him to draft that speech. But I can really hear the King's own words and tones in that speech, and the humorous references. I just thought it was a gift to all people, and I think the King has really sort of pressed the reset button for the special relationship between the United Kingdom and the United States by delivering this pretty complicated but very, very powerful address to Congress today.
You made a great speech. I was very jealous.
Ladies and gentlemen, the President of the United States, Donald J. Trump, and First Lady Melania Trump, accompanied by their Majesties, King Charles III and Queen Camilla.
Mr. President, First Lady, my wife and I are most grateful to you for your generous hospitality as the United States celebrates this very special anniversary year of the Declaration of Independence. And may I also just start by paying tribute to your own courage and steadfastness, as well as to your security services, for their swift actions on Saturday evening in preventing further injury. My thoughts... My thoughts and sympathies are very much with you, the First Lady, and all those guests for whom this must have been a very upsetting incident. As the words of that famous anthem remind us, this is the land of the free and home of the brave, as your own response demonstrates. What used to be called in the last war in the United Kingdom, keep calm and carry on. And AUKUS deepen our technological and military cooperation and ensure that together we can meet the challenges of an increasingly complex and contested world. And speaking of submarine alliances, there was one particular AUKUS predecessor launched from a UK shipyard in 1944 that served for the majority of her life attached to the 4th Submarine Squadron in Australia, playing a critical role during the war in the Pacific. Her name? HMS Trump. So tonight, Mr. President, I am delighted to present to you, as a personal gift, the original bell which hung on the conning tower of your valiant namesake. May it stand as a testimony to our nation's shared history and shining future. And should you ever need to get hold of us, well, just give us a ring. The past, the present, and the future, thank you, of our two proud and allied nations. To the United States and the United Kingdom, God bless both our countries.
Thank you very much. Thank you, everybody. As you great job. That's so beautiful. That's Thank you very much. Thank you, everybody. As you great job. That's so beautiful. That's